2, 1, and now. Hello and welcome back to ParanormalNL Podcast. That's PNL Podcast for short. I'm your host and founder, JV-Noseworthy. A big happy Valentine's week to everybody listening in from out there. This is a pre-recorded show broadcasting on UPRN, United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM, New Orleans, and 105.3 FM, Gulf Coast. Listen to ParanormalNL Podcast on UPRN on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. PNL Podcast is sponsored by the BOG team, a boots on the ground team doing paranormal investigations in Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada. Follow UPRN at uprntalkradio.com and all their socials. PNL Podcast believes in international paranormal networking, tourism, paranormal people, places, and things all over the world. Contact me, your host, Jen, at paranormal.nl.podcast@gmail.com or follow PNL Podcast and the BOG team on their link tree. Now let's get on with the show. Tonight, I have on with me all the way from Texas and all the way from Oklahoma. I have Leila Olivarri and I also have Tammy Raydon. Hi, welcome.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, happy Valentine's week.
Happy Valentine's.
You too.
Like all your red outfits.
I know.
Red heart on my head here.
Festive.
Yes. So how's the weather over in Texas right now?
It's not too bad right now. It's just not, actually it's pretty good. The weather is not too cold, not too hot, so I can't complain.
How about you, Tammy? How's Oklahoma?
Yeah, Layla and I are 3 hours apart, so our weather is usually pretty stationary, pretty stable.
Right.
Tammy usually gets it first, and then it comes down to me.
Yeah, exactly.
So you guys got a few things in common. You're both with the Warren Legacy Foundation. So who wants to introduce themselves first and talk a little bit? I'll let you both introduce yourselves, and then we can go back to the Warren Foundation and dig into it.
Okay, sounds good. My name is Leila Olivarri. I am, like she said, from Texas. I'm just north of Dallas. I'm at Princeton, Texas. I've been interested in the paranormal since I was a young child. I had, pretty much typical experiences in my childhood home. We had messed around with the Ouija board, stuff happened, and I was pretty much raised in a Catholic family. My parents were super Catholic. So despite everything that happened, it was kind of just toned down. We don't talk about it. I mean, we had all sorts of stuff going on in my house, shadow figures, music turning up and down, the radio going on and off, but we just kind of ignored it. We didn't really acknowledge it. And then, I had my kids young and I raised them. And once they kind of got older, I got back into the paranormal. I was a tour guide at the Goatman's Bridge here in Texas.
That's a popular place. I know.
It's very popular.
Yeah. Famous, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. My friend was on that episode. I did that for a few years, and but and I love going on investigations. I've been to so many different locations, but my favorite thing is what we do with the foundation is we help people who need help and they're having issues in their home or they're scared and they've got stuff going on. They reach out to us, and we go in and see what we can to help them out.
I think I see a dark shadow on your right screen down there.
Oh, yeah.
Tammy, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah, I'm Tammy Christine Raydon, and I am in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. My path was just a little bit different than Leila's. When I was about 8 years old, and I'm sure there were things prior to that I just don't remember, that I've wiped out of my mind. But 8 years old, I recall seeing a full-bodied apparition in my basement.
Oh, wow. At 8 years old, that must have been pretty
terrifying.
Scary, right? Terrifying, definitely.
Yes, absolutely. So throughout growing up in my childhood, things continued to happen. And long story short, it was kind of like taboo back then. I'm a 70s baby, so definitely taboo back then. You don't talk about it because, they're going to send you to the nut house. And so it was kind of like, what do you do? And it was just, you have a vivid imagination. That's just a coincidence. So I kind of just departed from it and tried to ignore it for the most part for most of my youthful years, although things continued to happen and happen and happen. And then it wasn't until really, I guess, my turning point was the death of my father. And
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Thank you. And it was about 7 years ago. And I had a very profound experience. And within that profound experience, he didn't believe in the afterlife. We had many conversations about it, but he came to me shortly after his passing, and it was without mistake. He said, "You were right." 3 words that I heard audibly in my ear. I will never forget. I knew it was him. It had come after a series of other paranormal experiences in my home, just literally 10 minutes after his passing. And I couldn't ignore it anymore. And I said, "Why am I doing this?" Like, he just gave me the permission. He said, "All the time I've told you as a child that you were imagining this, you were right." So to me, that was my awakening.
Okay.
That was my go forward. And I am an evidential medium. And in addition to that, I am on Afterlife Paranormal Investigations of Oklahoma. And along the route, I also joined up with the Warren Legacy Foundation, and I get to work with the beautiful Leila Olivarri all the time. We have a really great Southern region, and I'm very blessed for the company that I share with her in that.
Well, Leila, tell us a little bit more about the Warren Legacy Foundation to the people listening across the world here. Can you explain to them, who Ed and Lorraine were and how that relates to your foundation?
Yes, so Ed and Lorraine Warren, to me, are one of the founders of the paranormal field. Like Tammy said, when we were growing up and we were born, it was taboo. It's not like it is now. Everyone wants to part of it. Everyone wants to have a show. And they were in it to, just like I said, help people.
Yes.
And I know everyone's heard of the movies, The Conjuring and everything, which is, it's Hollywood, but it also brings attention to them, which is what I love. I love about the movies. So the Warren Legacy Foundation was founded by Lorraine Warren and her grandson, Chris McKennell. He is the founder of our foundation. So we're worldwide. We never know where he's at. Sometimes he's in Colombia. Sometimes he's back in the United States. He's all over the place. And we have members throughout worldwide. So we have members in other countries. We have a Spanish division, and then the United States. We have different regional directors because we divide the regions. But we are, like, Tammy's in Oklahoma. I'm in Texas. We have where some other of our members from? Tammy, I'm blanking on it. We have.
Do y'all have any Canadian members?
We actually have one right now. We have one.
Okay,
he's amazing.
Yeah.
We have one Canadian member, so he helps that. We've had, I think, one case in Canada so far. For whatever reason, Tammy and I, a couple of months ago, had a rash of cases in Texas. So we were joking around. We don't know what was happening in Texas. All of our cases were coming out of there.
The devil went down to Texas instead of Georgia.
Yeah. Exactly.
What part of Texas, Leila?
That we had them pretty much all over. We had them near me. We had them we had one in Corpus Christi. They were kind of a little bit of everywhere. We've had some in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But we usually, when people reach out to us, there's stuff going on in their house, and they're just regular people, and they're scared. They don't know what's going on. And it's my biggest pet peeve, they reach out to people they don't really know, and they get told the craziest things. So we've had, I can't even tell you the stories that we've had. We've had spider demons. They literally told these people they had 2 trailers on the property, and they were literally told they had to demolish the property, which is crazy to me. I've never seen someone who's been told to destroy their property because they said it was like Indian burial grounds and the spider demon was there. So when they come to us, they're scared. So the first thing we do is we're just trying to calm them down and let them know. Walk them through, let them know that we're here to help them. Because, everyone throws around the D word, as we all know. Mm-hmm. And that's right. Very rare, very rare. So that's the first thing we let them know. You're going to know if that's what you're dealing with.
There's a picture of Ed and Lorraine up there at the top.
Yes.
And, the legacy. Yeah, it looks like, like you said, with the Institute, you also do training for researchers and help people. Now, the main people who do call and ask for help, do you find that it's just amped up so much they don't know what to do?
Yeah. They've gotten to the point where, like I said, they've been reached out to other people and they've scared them to death, or they've just had so much stuff going on in their house and they're scared. They don't know what it is. So they've reached the end of their rope when they've come to us. Yeah,
you mentioned the D word. And like you said, that does get thrown around a lot, right, Tammy? I mean, there's lots of other things. There's even benevolent things, but of course there are other entities that we don't know or we don't know. Well, I mean, what's your take on it, Leila and Tammy? Do you think they're dimensional, or where do you think they come from?
Yeah, there are interdimensional beings. There are elementals that were here long before the earth even exists. I mean, there are so many things out there right now. And the unfortunate part of it is some of those things, perhaps elementals or even ET, extraterrestrial beings, they can come across as very negative. They can come across as destructive or chaotic. And that typically immediately raises a red flag for people, and they immediately think, oh my gosh, I have the D word here, when in reality it isn't at all. Or it's a communication between two different spirits that aren't getting along. Perhaps it is Indian burial ground. Perhaps there is some cultural differences between the people living on the land now and how they're treating the land and what was once there that had that land prior, and there's a clash in the afterworld. So there's a lot of things that can go into the paranormal and investigating these homes.
I agree. There's so many different things, right, Leila?
Oh, there's definitely. And just like we tell everyone, when someone passes, if they were the nicest people that you've ever met, they're going to be nice when they pass. If they're, pardon my French, an asshole before they died, they're not going to die and not be an asshole. They're going to, when someone encounters that kind of spirit, they get scared and immediately think it's something evil and dark, when really it's just someone that's mad and they're pissed off.
A cranky spirit.
In my home. Yeah, they're why are you in my house right now? So they're trying to do what they can to scare them, and the people just take it the wrong way. And so we, try to explain that to them. It's not always going to be something bad. You never know.
As in life, so in death, they say. So it could be just somebody cranky walking around saying, hey, get off my couch or something, I
mean, it could be a family member that's like saying not happy with what you're doing. They're trying to get your attention. Or they're just checking in on you.
Yeah. Or it could be benevolent people checking in on you, trying to get your attention also.
Yes. Someone that lived there a long time and that was their home and they didn't want to leave and they love it and they're tied to it and they're just not comfortable or happy sharing the space with you.
And I love your example of your dad where you heard him.
Yeah.
That's comforting to a lot of people, I think. Yeah. But then, of course, Leila, on the flip side, then you get the really weird stuff, right? Like, do you want to talk about some of the weird stuff?
I've had the weirdest stuff. I had one case where the guy said he had a lizard-like man sitting in his couch, and
okay.
We've had cases, and here's another thing with what we deal with. Some of it's going to be mental health issues too. Right. So that's a big part of it. We have to weed through that. Yeah, we have to weed through that. We've had people, they talk to dead, celebrities, that kind of stuff. Maybe they do, but that's what we're here for, because we don't just go in and just. Everyone thinks it's a magic wand. We're going to go in. It's going to be like the TV shows. We're going to go in the house and, oh, this is what you have. This is what you have. And it's done. No, there's so many layers of it. Yeah. There's so many layers. Is it, it could be something as simple as a medication. It's making you hallucinate, or it's clashing with this kind of thing. It could be, like I said, mental health issues. It could be you're depressed.
100%. That's why myself as a nurse, I look at it in that perspective too, right? Because when you hear something like that, you go in and you think, okay, well, let's do the Scully and Mulder kind of thing, I like to say, right? Because I kind of got a little bit of both going on. Do you guys do that too? Sounds like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, it's the tip of the iceberg, because you do have the mental health capacity. You do have the past relatives capacity. You do have the what was on the land capacity. You also have PK energy, which comes from the living human being in the home. Mm-hmm. You have fear, which if fear is brought to certain levels, then you can create an egregore. You can create a thought form that doesn't even exist, and that becomes the entity.
That's interesting you mentioned that word, because we were talking last night. I was recording with somebody and we were talking about that, and it happened all over a whole town area, and whatever they were talking about, it started happening like an egregore. It's really strange.
It's just a thought form. Because for mediumship, if you want to go to that and kind of tie it quantum physically into everything, it's all energy. It's all energy. So we're putting that into the universe. What are we receiving?
Yeah.
Right. So tell me a little bit more about your other places that you work for, Leila.
When I'm not, I call it in the free world, I work for a district judge in a district court. So we hear felony cases, we hear divorce cases, we hear pretty much everything, CPS cases. So that's kind of a high stress level job. That's another thing I love about the paranormal. That's my, going on a girls trip with Tammy or Jamie with everyone. That's my stress level to get away from what I deal with right there. I actually work at a second job at Bath and Body Works. So that's
Okay.
I use pretty much spend my paycheck that I make there at Bath and Body Works.
Well, you got to do something to help with the, stress, like you said. And you're also
Yeah.
with Para Hunters, right?
Yes, absolutely. I'm with Para Hunters, which I have several people. Jamie Teal Gray, she is our founder. And we, do little events. There was a big deal. There's a place here called Denton, Texas that they decided, which is, I think, amazing, to embrace Halloween, and they made themselves Halloween Town. It's just like we're talking about how many years ago that we kind of shunned Halloween, and it's been embraced, which I love, absolutely love, my favorite time of the year. So we had several events.
Team members here.
Yes. Susan, I love Susan to death. She's one of my great friends. Everyone there. Bella is actually my daughter.
To Jamie.
Yes, I love Jamie.
She was the one who introduced me to y'all, and of course I've had Teal on my show, and Mark, and yourself, and I actually just recorded with Jenny Van Hoos, and
love her too.
She was amazing. On with Adam Ramos and did a session on the Jefferson Hotel. That was interesting.
Oh yeah, well I was just there, and I'll be going there again next month.
Oh wow.
And Bella's my daughter.
Oh, Belle is your daughter.
Yeah,
there she is. Yeah, over there on the left, right on the other side of the crow. Yeah, I like the logo too with the crow. And there's a little bit more about yourself. Yeah. And there's who came up with your logo?
Phil did. I love it. I love the crow. It's nice. Super cute. Yeah.
Love it. And there's more. And you had mentioned Denton, Texas, and this is at the International Order of Oddfellows Cemetery in Denton, Texas. That's another spot where,
the Ghostbusters there.
I met you guys there. Well, a lot of people there actually. Teal passed the phone around, and I
yes, we did that. Yes, I remember that.
Yeah,
that was cool.
And Tammy, do you want to talk a little bit more about other things that you do? I see.
Sure.
I've got this one up.
Sure. Yeah. I can be reached at tammychristinemedium@gmail.com, and I'm on Facebook, and I don't have a website yet or anything. I know I need to work on it, but that's, time consuming.
And you do a lot. You're also a Reiki master.
I am. That is where I do all of my Reiki and stuff, is through my mediumship. And I do private readings, gallery readings, things like that. But I'm also during the day, and this is kind of unusual, and I don't know, it's funny how you meet people and you end up like you have so many similarities, but I also work in the court system. I am a court reporter in Oklahoma and have been for 33 years. So I also work in the legal field industry, just like Leila does. So it's kind of, we have that in common right from the get-go, from starting our relationship.
So you have a lot in common.
Yeah. And then I'm a member of Afterlife Paranormal Investigations of Oklahoma. And we do home investigations. We do investigations where we travel to different locations. We do all kinds of different things. We primarily help people locally, but then we take trips ourselves just to research and to delve back into the paranormal and to really study and try to figure things out on our own as well. And our team lead is Brooke Montoya. And I know Teal is an author, and Brooke is an author too now. So
okay. Well, that's great. I like your little logo there with your ghost.
Ghost girl.
Cute.
Tammy and I have been able to do joint investigations, so that's been fun too.
It's been awesome. Yeah.
Don't you love it when you're able to do that?
Spiritual Wellness is another organization that I have linked up with, and that's Carrie Hopper. And I'm also just doing mediumship and taking appointments through her for my services as well. So
nice. Spiritual wellness is very important, I think.
Oh,
you got to ground yourself. A lot of mediums often say when people are stressed with anxiety, you got to do some grounding.
I do daily. But
yeah. That's one of the big things we show with the foundation when, people are scared is, to take the time, the deep breaths, the white light, all that kind of stuff, because that's all part of it.
It all helps.
Does. It really does.
Did you want to make any comments on this picture?
Who is that in the picture? Yeah, that is Miss Annabelle the doll, which everyone knows from the movies, but that's from the Warren Legacy Museum.
But it's funny, in the 70s, I'm a 70s kid too. But You know, I had a doll like that somebody made for me, and
Yeah.
I didn't find that scary at all, so
Isn't that funny? It's just, no big deal to us. We all know who Raggedy Ann is.
That's
So now
Right?
everybody's scared of her.
Yeah. Yeah, now everybody's scared of Raggedy Ann. I
Yeah.
love this logo with yourself there, that's a nice one.
Thank you. Yeah, it's nice and spooky. I like it.
Yeah,
super
and
spooky.
there's, the crowd
Yeah.
again there, and more about yourself there. So, tell us more. Do you have
So-
any other weird, things that stick out in your mind of different investigations that you've done that you wanna share, of course, without divulging who or where?
Actually, when I met Teal, I met her. It was pretty interesting. There was a place called Frontier Village north of here in Denison. And it's actually a pretty cool little place. It's not a paranormal location, but what it is they have different historic homes that are
Oh, nice. Okay.
from Denison, and they've all located them to this one area. And I think one had like the roof of some Jesse James was shootout and kind of stuff. So it's all historical stuff, but they were experiencing a lot of paranormal activity. And that's actually how I met Till. That's when I was with my friend that I did the tours with at the Goatman's Bridge. And she had invited us we were going to be the first team to be able to go out and investigate and see what was going on out there. So we met up and we had
That
a
must have
tour
been an
guide there.
exciting investigation, Leila.
Oh, it was so fun. Especially, it's always fun when you're the first person there. And
So
we had
you're a tour guide there, you say?
no, that's how I met Teal. They had, so each house has their own, they had their own kind of like person that was in charge of the house. It was like the keeper of the house. They were in charge historically every day, because people would come in and do tours and they would have to come in and clean it and make that kind of, make sure it's clean and everything's back into its place. But there was one house in particular that had a mannequin, like, the sewing mannequins kinds. And it was in one of the top rooms, and they kept getting calls at night that there was a person in the house that had broken in.
Oh.
It was a mannequin. The mannequin kept moving every night. They would move it every single night. They would move it back, and the mannequin would move itself, and it would always be in front of the window. So people driving by would think it was someone in the house. So the police were getting calls. That's one of the reasons we got reached out.
Weird, really?
Yeah. And that house, I have some sort of abilities, but you can just kind of sense when you walked into that house, you can feel what was going on. There was a lot going on in that. And it was, that place is actually a little bit darker.
Did you talk to Jamie about that mannequin? Because she deals with haunted dolls. And
she was there, actually Jamie was there with me.
Yeah? What did she say about that?
That is the first time I met Jamie. And it was a while back, and there was a lot going on. I mean, she was fascinating with it too, because she has her doll collection.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. But it wasn't like a traditional, it didn't have like a head or anything. It just like the bottom part, like the sewing that you put on to try stuff on.
Weird. Yeah. Very weird. Yeah, it was interesting when I talked to Jamie, how she said that, I never thought about dolls and things like that really being haunted. It never ever scared me until she kind of talked about it. Well, if you're a spirit, right, Tammy, and you want to be hugged and stuff like that, then why not go into a doll?
Yeah.
Right? Or something that's going to be loved and talked to and hugged and things like that. And then I thought, oh, that makes complete sense now, right?
Right. Or, it could be part of their childhood. Their comfort was, their doll, their teddy bear or whatever. So that's what they remember.
Right.
That's what they're attracted to. Yeah.
Do you ever get many SLS hits on things like that?
It's kind of hard though, because when it sees it kind of does the shape already. But I've had a couple of times where I've had that happen.
Yeah.
When you see
ask
something,
it to do something and it does it kind of thing.
I love doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. So what other kind of things? I know you were talking about the Goatman Bridge.
Yeah, I loved going out there. I don't know if anyone knows the legend, but there's Oscar. He's the goat man, but he's not the bad person everyone thinks he is. He's actually was literally just a goat man. He's the one whose body was allegedly hung there and by the KKK. And after they hung him and they came back to try to find him, his body was gone. But I loved Oscar, and I say that because I feel like I know him because I was out there so much. But we would get hits like on the EVPs and all that kind of stuff, and it was always his voice, and we always knew it was Oscar. And he would always actually watch out for us. We were doing a session one time, and it was storm. It was you can see the storm starting to come, and I can't remember what equipment we were using, but it started going crazy. And we were like, "Are you trying to tell us to get out of here?" And we, it was telling us yes. So we went ahead and packed up early and left. And then there ended up being a tornado that came down that night.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, so it like I said, and we went out there for several years, and always the same voice. You can always tell that it was his voice, so it would show up. So that was always really neat to me.
Wow. So tell me some more stuff, Tammy, about what you guys do with your Afterlife Paranormal.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So we've had, like I said, we've had lots of residential investigations here in the Oklahoma City metro and Tulsa area. We also investigate businesses, so that's been really interesting. Lately, our team lead has been writing, and so we've been doing a lot of saloons and brothel locations and things like that, where we've gone into these older, smaller towns. We recently did the Ralston Opera House. That was a very interesting night. We actually had tornado warnings that night that we were there. So,
oh no.
Yeah. So that was fun. We've really been to the East Coast. We actually stayed 2 nights in the Conjuring house. And that was years ago. And it was actually a really lovely stay. We had some stuff that was, a little bit shadow men and things like that we were a little bit like, okay, that feels creepy. But for the most part, there were children there. There was a lot of activity. And I know you use the spirit balls that everybody calls them cat balls, but
right, yeah.
We have a very I guess I would say we're debunkers first, because we know it exists. We know it's there. We've seen it. We understand that. But we always want things that are just like, oh, okay, that's nothing. We try to really focus on that. And cat balls are, they're iffy. Like, is it really a spirit? Their vibration, it's slightest.
Is it somebody walking? Or,
yeah.
But we had lined them up, and this is one of the only times in the last, 6 years this has really happened. But we asked for the first one to be touched. First one got touched. We said, okay, that's really cool that you can do that. Can you touch the first one, then the second one in succession? First one lights up, second one lights up. Of course, we're excited. We're like, whoa, on command. That's amazing. And so we said, well, let's give it one more go. Let's try 3. Which so can you do the first one, the second one, and then the third one? And each of these got closer to where we were sitting as well. And
then you started getting nervous, like, what's walking towards me?
I know, what is this actually? But but it was just a little boy. His name is Oliver, and he lived there on the property at one point in time. And it was really lovely because he did the 3 in a row right after we said, and it was just kind of like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like, we've never had, when you get direct responses.
Yeah. I like intelligent responses.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
How about you, Leila? Have you had many intelligent responses when you've been out investigating?
I have, and I've had, like Tammy said, we've gotten, with the SLS, I love the SLS when you get good responses, because we use a lot of trigger objects and trigger music. So we've had music, the SLS.
Nice.
Oh, I love it. We had one, and he was like playing the banjo. The stick figure was like playing the banjo and dancing. It was like it was stomping its foot and doing it along to the music that we were doing. And to see something like that is just incredible to me. I love stuff like that.
That's fun.
You're doing EVP sessions and you don't think you catch anything, but you go back and listen to it, and it does, responded to what you said. I love stuff like that.
And it never fails. You're at home, and then you hear it instead, because some people don't listen to it right away, right? Some people will take it home and then listen to it. It's like, oh, I wish I had known that when I was there. I could have talked to it more.
I know, right? You could have communicated more.
Or the other way around. It's like, oh, I didn't know that was there, kind of thing.
I know, right? Creepy.
Yeah, creepy stuff.
Have you had any? We use music all the time as well as a trigger object.
That's always great. Yeah.
Yeah. It actually, and we also use jokes. Like
jokes.
We tell them jokes and see.
I've done that with dad jokes, just to sit around, because that's the thing. Sometimes when you're there, because to me, it's like you kind of the same thing over and over. The same people are coming through. Exactly. What's your name? Blah, blah, blah. And we almost get the most when we're kind of taking a break and we're just all sitting around, talking to each other, and you start hearing stuff in another room and start lighting up, and also, stuff starts going on. It's like, now they're kind of paying attention to what you're doing because they're not bored anymore.
Exactly.
I totally agree with that. I think you're onto something there. Because, like you said, a lot of people go in there, they're always asking the same old stuff, and they're sitting there going, yeah, this sucks. Here we
Yeah.
go, another crowd, right? So,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
then,
It's like,
yeah, and then you bring the
Okay,
fun
same
stuff, the
question.
music, the jokes. I like that idea.
yeah. I
What
actually
other
went
kind of
to
trigger objects do y'all use?
well, I went to a penitentiary here recently with Jamie actually, and we got the coolest thing. We used a cigarette, and there was a specific cell where they said that the inmate liked to smoke, and we literally lit a cigarette and we put it down, and you could
Yeah.
see, kind of, when someone drags on it, it goes
Right,
down,
right.
and like it
Yeah.
was doing that. And
Yeah,
it was,
smoking it.
yeah,
Yeah.
we were just sitting there kind of like we were talking about, just, not directly looking at it, but we were just kind of talking and say, hey, are you here? And you could just see it steadily smoking, and it went down to almost halfway, and like it was on a shelf. So who was over there puffing on it? It wasn't us. So that was pretty
So you
cool.
had a happy inmate there.
Yeah. It depends on the location. Like Tammy said, you can bring whiskey or cards.
Right.
You try to, whatever location you bring what they're used to.
Tammy, is there any kind of mediumship stuff that you do in particular when you go there?
When you mediumship, you mean when I first get there?
Yeah,
Or,
yeah. Do you like to know the history, or do you like
don't.
to go in blind, or how do you do it?
I don't like to know the history. I want to go in first. I want to feel the atmosphere. I want to feel the space. I want to walk around and feel the energy and get impressions. I usually go in. What we do on our team is we usually go in, and I'm the medium, but Brooke is also sensitive. So we usually go in, and what we do is we walk separately, independent of each other, and we take our phones and we make notes. We take notes and then we compare so that we actually have like a written dialogue of what we both picked up on and felt. And that way it's really cool because you can see if there's overlap, if there's stuff you both picked up on, what areas of the location seem to be more heavy or more light. All of those things come into play. And that's typically how I use my body as an instrument to find the locations and to set the equipment to begin with.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. Do you ever draw pictures too, or do you mostly just sense where the things are?
I do, and I've also had very vivid dreams before I've been. There's a lot that goes into it. So I can tell you there's a couple of locations where I've literally had dreams a week before, 2 days before, the night before. And it's like you get there and you go, oh my gosh, I've been here.
It's almost like the house or wherever you're going knows you're on the way or you're going to be there.
Right.
Do you ever have that happen, Leila?
Yeah, I have. And it's kind of like I said, I can kind of sense stuff too. So it's just kind of like Tammy said, you walk in and you're like, I know this place. I know what's going on here. And you kind of just get a sense that, whatever's there or the spirits are there kind of know you were coming. They were expecting you.
Are there any other examples that you want to give from the Warren Foundation about some of the things that you've done to help people?
Yeah, before we do that, I do want to tell, we've had a couple of times, and it's been with Tammy, that we've had, we had one particular case with a young lady that, had a lot going on. And I think it was once or twice during interviewing with her, we actually had Lorraine come through.
Yeah.
And
really?
Yeah, that was super cool. I mean, like, I was like a fangirl that she's here, but she's come through to Tammy several times too. I'll let you tell your personal stories on that.
Yeah. So first time was during a meditation, and I do a clearing where I actually get in the tub, and I don't use it like as an isolation, but I get in and I do music and bath salts and really kind of just let myself zone out. And I do that a lot to ground and to protect. And it was in the midst of this case. It was like maybe a couple weeks, Leila, after the case started. And we had already sensed that we were dealing with the real thing. We were dealing with a very rare case here. And I had gone in to do my meditation, was extremely tired and just felt very worn out and very like, you know how when you get a case at first and you're just like, oh my gosh, where do we go? This is so huge. We have to handle this right. This is important. It's necessary. A lot hinges on this for this poor girl. And we did, we handled it really well, but I went in, I did my meditation, and all of a sudden I just had the scent and the smell of her, of lavender, just overwhelmed me. And she was there. She was there. She was telling me, talking in her, oh, honey, and, it's going to be okay. I got your team's back. It's, you need protection. You need to make sure you're okay. And I'm helping. I'm on this side, but I'm helping. And so that was just kind of a confirmation that we were dealing with something, that she did know that this was bad, and that she, from the spirit world, was going to step in and be at our assistance if needed.
She wanted to help guide you.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah.
And our client had her own abilities too. And she, there was a time that Chris was on with us, and in one of the interviews, because we do a lot of our interviews on Zoom. So like I said, we're all over the place. So it's like this, but she saw Lorraine. She didn't realize it was Lorraine, but she was like, hey, and she described her. And then she said there was a nickname. I can't remember what it was that Lorraine would call Chris. And she's like, hey, she said to tell you this. So she was there. She was there helping us do the case. Yeah. So she's still there helping us out.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah. Isn't it awesome when stuff like that happens?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love it. It's confirmation. And because that case, it was a very difficult case, and, kind of brought you down some because we were worried. You, like I said, we're trying to help people. Right. And it was good to get, stuff like that to happen. It's good to get some affirmation with everything else going on.
Added extra help. And I know you've worked a lot and assisted some other people. Like I think you worked with RIP, or Research and Investigation of the Paranormal, with Greg Stevens and Brandon Lee too.
I love them. They're both, and I love them because they're both veterans. So when they put on
they
events,
were on UPRN also.
Okay, I love them. So any of their events that they put out, it's usually going towards a charity for veterans. And my dad was a veteran. All my uncles are veterans, so that's kind of near and dear to me. I love working with those guys. They're amazing.
Me too. I used to work with Veterans Affairs in the U.S. before I came back home, so it's kind of near and dear to my heart too, and it's important. And it looks like you were a Paracon speaker too. You got a lot of stuff you haven't told us about.
I know. I know. I don't like to brag on myself.
Now's your time.
I've spoken. It was the Spooky Spectacular Paracon. That it's usually in Granbury every year, which it's a little gorgeous town here in Texas. It's kind of goes back to a few years, and it's got a lake there when you come in. But yeah, it was fun. I got to speak there, and I was actually, Greg was there with his team. I got to speak about the Warren Legacy Foundation and meet new people. That's what I love, going out to these, different events. I get to meet all the fans that come out, all the other, fellow para hunters with us. I just love it all. It's like a family.
So Tammy and Leila, if you were going to say, okay, I'm going to Texas or I'm going to Oklahoma, where would you tell people to go if they wanted to do paranormal tourism?
I think there's a place here in Texas, in Mineral Wells, actually, and I can't wait. It's by the Baker Hotel, and I cannot wait for the Baker Hotel to open up that week so we can get into that place.
Yeah, the Baker.
But it's in the Mineral Wells where the Baker Hotel is, and it's the Hill House. And Tammy and I haven't gone there together, but we've gone there separately. And I don't think I've ever gone there where I haven't got something happen.
It's interesting. Whenever I talk to somebody from Texas and I say we're in Texas, Mineral Wells comes up.
Oh, that's a whole town. Yeah. Jefferson, Texas. That's another one that, it's not just one, because the hotel, it's a big hotel where, it's very well known, but the whole town to me.
Right. We just had Van Hoos on and Adam Ramos talk about the Jefferson Hotel attacks. And Tammy, what do you think? What in Oklahoma? Where would you
Oklahoma's
recommend?
a little different up here. So, as you know, Oklahoma is the Bible Belt. There are a lot of paranormal places in Oklahoma. The problem is it's so taboo that nobody wants you necessarily to think of their place as haunted.
Okay, I hear you. It's like that over here where I'm at.
It's hard to actually get into a lot of places. And a lot of places, they unfortunately, I want to talk about Broken Bow, Leila.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. Yes.
I knew you were waiting for it. Leila and I investigated in Broken Bow, Oklahoma. And we investigated it used to be a emergency center. Then it was a boys' home. It was a drug rehabilitation. It was a lot of different things. It was a nursing home. So it was there for many, many, many years. And unfortunately, they had to close down a couple of years ago now. Is it a year or 2 years?
It's been about 2 years, yeah.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, they closed down. And Leila and I had the greatest, wonderful, that place was off.
We barely had gotten there, and we had some of other Tammy's other team members that had joined us there. I mean, we weren't even there 10 minutes, and they were getting all sorts of EVPs like left and right. I mean, and clear. It wasn't, sometimes you kind of re-listen and see, no, these were clear EVPs, and they were like several words sometimes, and they were like, we were talking about responding. We were having a conversation, and they were kind of responding to what we were talking about, not even talking to them.
Don't you love that when that happens? Like that is a sign of utmost intelligence. We had that happen to us at a Christmas parade not too long ago. We were there and we just, we were sitting waiting to get in the parade or something. So we broke out some equipment and boom, boom, boom. Like we weren't even asking questions, and it was intelligently commenting on what was going on.
Correcting, like, hey, look at me.
It was interesting.
We had one EVP that we got that first day that actually said Harold can get them when they're in the haunted house or something like that.
Yeah.
And the back part of the building, they had kind of used it for a haunted, house.
An attraction. Yeah, like an attraction.
Thank you, Leila. And walking through. And so I was like, oh my gosh, Harold can get them. Well, that's the area that we felt very oppressed.
Yeah.
A lot of almost like you could walk up to that area, and right before you go into the haunted attraction section, it's like hitting a brick wall.
Yeah.
It was just like
it's like hitting a fog or mud or something. Like, you could feel it. Okay.
Yeah. And so that's where we got that EVP, was way back in there. And it turns out that I did ask the owner, I said, can you tell me if there was a Harold on the property? And she said, oh, yes, Harold. He was the caretaker here for many years, and he passed away.
I love that. There you go. Okay.
So it was really, really interesting. And that was a location that was very, very multiple onion, peel off the layers, because there was a suicide. There was, and the suicide created kind of a split soul, if you will. And that split soul was kind of terrorizing the people that were stuck there and holding them. Yeah. And so we had a lot of captive souls that were just stuck. They were stuck, and the place was just very active.
Do you guys encounter that a lot when you go into a place and there's multiple spirits, and there's just one or maybe even two darker spirits that are kind of not letting them talk, or, like Tammy, you'd said, holding them there kind of thing? Do you come across that often?
Actually, at the bridge or the Goatman's Bridge, I'm going to go back to that. There was a darker spirit there called Steve. And it's crazy because his name was Steve. And when he would come, you knew he was there because almost everything else would get quiet. We could be getting a lot of communication, but whenever he would come, all the other spirits we'd communicating, it'd be like a void. They'd be gone, and they would not stick around. They would not stay around. If he was there, they would not be around. And you could tell he was, and we would get EVPs from him, and he didn't care. You knew it was him because he would be like, fuck you, get the fuck out of here, bitch. I mean, he was very profane, cussing at you, and you knew it was him, and you would get nothing from anyone else.
Interesting.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, I find that to be true too. When you have a negative entity that is a kind of over authority controlling type entity, when you're having great communication and you're getting intelligent responses, and all of a sudden they show up and it's just
they leave. We've had that happen several times too at different places. And it's almost like you really wish you could do something more for them, but there's some places you go to, there's just so many spirits, like you don't want to kick them all out. I mean, there's good spirits there too. Exactly. Right?
And I think people in the big places, like the big attractions like we're talking about, that the popular locations, there's so many people that go in and out. I think they bring stuff in too.
Yes, I was just going to say that about attachments. Have you all had any attachment type things happen to you guys and that you bring home? Or
I've had a few occasions. I mean, I guess we get used to it. We kind of joke about that. There's stuff that goes on with other people and they're scared. We're just like, we're trying to sleep, leave. You're not welcome. Or like close the door. Or have two dogs.
Go sleep out on the couch. Get out of my bedroom.
I have two dogs. You probably saw one creeping behind me, and they'll be growling at night. I'm like, leave them alone. I'm trying to sleep. and the funny thing is, they do. And I've not had anything serious follow me. Usually they're there like a day or two, and are able to cleanse and get rid of it, and it's not a big deal.
Right. Yeah. So what do you guys do for cleansing? Anything special, Tammy?
Oh goodness, where do you start? Ground
Emma's
clear.
got a list of lists.
I know. I love to get you out my files.
It makes me think of that to Mimi that's going around. I don't have enough sage to clean the rest of this year up, right?
Right. And it's, it's just every situation is different. I want to stress that very much so. Every situation is different. So there's not a magic cure. There's not a wave my wand. I'm going to go put some sage on and the house is cleansed. Woo, it's great.
Right.
It's not the way it works.
Nope.
I always tell people from my medium standpoint that intention is everything.
Yep. So, every medium I've ever talked to said that it's all about intention.
It absolutely is. And so if you are in a position to need to protect yourself, protect your family, protect your home, protect just because you feel off, something feels wrong, saging is never bad. Palo Santo, that's another good one you can use. Dragon's blood.
Yeah.
Frankincense.
What was that last one you said?
Dragon's blood. Dragon's blood.
What's
Same
that?
place you get the sage, the white sage, Palo Santo, they'll have dragon's blood. It's just another sage bundle. Different.
Okay. Haven't used that one before, I don't think.
It's good for darker entities.
Oh, wait a minute. Is that the reddish color sage?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that in my, I got that. Never mind.
You can use any of that stuff. You can bury St. Michael or St. Raphael's medals at the four corners of your home outside. That's a good one to do, just to kind of protect and give your property grace, just protect your property.
Black salt.
The same thing is black salt. Railroad ties, you can get railroad ties and bury them at the four corners of the property. Same thing.
What is it about iron? Hey, and the graveyards are made of iron with the gates too.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that goes into crystal properties, which crystal enthusiast I am also. So that's a whole nother respect, because you can put black tourmaline or hematite in your home, at your entry, your door, your front door, your back door. Those typically and generally will dispel the negative energy. So it's that way when people are coming in, instead of absorbing the energy into your home, if they're in a bad mood, if they had a bad day, if perhaps they're just not a nice person and they're coming to visit, you don't know that. All of that kind of sucks up that bad energy. So those are all things that are intention led, though. You know what I mean? You have to have the intention.
Have to have the intention. Leila, you mentioned black salt. Now, what's the difference in the black salt and the white salt?
Tammy's more into that. I use it for protection. It's the I don't even know. I've just always used it. And it's worked. I've had stuff going on in my house, and it's crazy because the energy, you can get bad energy from the living too. We've had cases where we get off the cases, and we all kind of help each other too. We've got off cases, and we kind of send each other good energy and everything getting off the cases. But I've used black salt when I've had cases, when I've had just bad stuff going on, and it helps.
Yeah. And some people use the salt scrub in the shower and stuff.
Oh, I definitely do that. The shower is very cleansing. Like Sammy said, I don't have a bathtub, but if you can get in a bathtub and soak and all that, it's good. It's cleansing. It's part of it.
You can use the water as you visualize the water being like coming down and going over your head and washing all the bad out and send it down the drain.
Yeah. And you can do that with crystals too, with certain crystals when you wash your hands and stuff. And you said it's all about intention.
It really is. Right. I mean, I use crystals when I know that when I have a bad case, because there's, if we have deaths, we have murders, we hear everything. So you have the emotion of the victims, you have the defendant that's, not a good person. You have all that kind of energy, and it affects you. So I use crystals when I'm in the
I've even had people put like crystals in their water that they're drinking and stuff like that to help. Hold on.
I told you Tammy's all into it. Yes.
Tammy. Okay. There you go.
Yeah.
That's funny.
All that.
I'm into I know, and this is just more, I'm an evil eye. Like I have the evil eye bracelets, and that's more, it's me. I know it's not it doesn't have any special properties, but to me, it makes me feel better. It makes me feel precious.
Makes you feel better. Yeah.
It helps me. Yeah.
No, Tammy, what does it mean when you have that on your purse or something and it breaks?
Okay, so it could be lots of different things, though. Here's the thing, because it breaks, when something breaks naturally as human beings, we think, oh, it broke, it's bad, right? It broke. There's a badness. There's something horrible. What it broke, it was weak. Something, it denotes something negative. But honestly, sometimes when something breaks, maybe it's because you've been wearing it for a while. It's absorbed up all that negative energy from your spirit, from your soul. and you don't need it anymore. Now you need something else.
I agree. Yeah. 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 I've had somebody had that happen to them and they were trying to figure out, and I was kind of thinking the same thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've had it where my my evil eye bracelet fell off and I was kind of freaking out. And then I laughed because I go in and it's just sitting I was wearing it and it's somehow just sitting in my truck when I get into the truck, like just sitting there nicely. I'm like, that wasn't there before, but it got placed there. I really think it got placed there I'm like, no, you're fine. It's okay. It's all in your head. But something placed it there, my spirit guides are just telling me, hey, it's fine. Because I told you we all have spirit guides. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to say that we all have spirit guides. Do you have a particular one that you know of or think that you have? Or
my dad recently passed a year ago, and I absolutely know he's one of my spirit guides. Thank you. But I know he's still with me, and he's definitely one of my main spirit guides.
That's comforting to know that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. My grandmother is one of my main ancestral guides. And it's funny because she had a heart condition that her aorta was twisting and she had died from actually a very massive heart attack. Mm-hmm. And long story short, I was on a trip, saw her sitting across the room. I felt this tremendous heart pain and I thought I was having a heart attack, freaked me out, thought I was going to need to go to the emergency room in a, state without my family there and just very freaked out. But I saw her and said, wait, is this your symbol for me to know this is you coming along with me, that you're with me? And I said, if it is, can you back off? On a dime, it stopped.
Okay.
Naturally, though, I went home.
Yeah.
I always tell everyone, disclaimer, go to the doctor, get checked out. Don't trust, just please. So I went to the doctor. I had all the tests run, checked my carotid, checked my heart. Everything was fine. And I thought, that is so strange. And then about a couple months later, my mom calls out of the blue and says, you're never going to believe what I found in your grandmother's belongings. And I was like, what is that? And she said, an entire notebook of handwritten pages where she wanted to go paranormal investigate places. And some of those places we were at when I had that incident where I saw her and had that feeling that
she was poking at you. Hey, I'm here with you.
It's funny. I feel like sometimes your relatives kind of insert themselves into the way when you're trying to investigate. I've had that with Jamie. For some reason, there's some ancestor of hers, we think it's her grandma, and some of mine, it was before my dad passed, so I think it was my grandma on my side, that they get together and we can't get communication from any other spirits, and it's them. And we're like, can y'all stop? We see you all the time. We traveled all these states to go to this location and no one's talking to us because y'all are here. We've had it happen several times.
I believe it.
Sally house, one of the times we were at the Sally house, and it was our relatives that were there coming through.
Oh, that's hilarious. I love that. But you know what? They were there protecting you though. Right?
Yeah, they were definitely. It's comforting. Yeah. It's comforting because they're there and we know that they're taking care of us.
Yeah. Sure. And they are protecting you. That's what they're doing. They're interested, they're curious, but they are protecting you.
And we've had cases where people are scared and they've got a lot going on and it turns out, it's a grandfather or a husband or something that's passed away and they're just there watching out for them, making sure they're safe. Right. And people don't understand and they're scared.
They're scared. Right. Yeah. I love those benevolent ghosts and even pets, spirits too.
Amazing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Do y'all have any pet experiences?
I've had some where I've just when the dogs do the shake thing, I had the shake thing that woke up and I heard the shake thing. I'm like, okay, you're here with me still. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I had one with my last puppy. She was a Cairn Terrier and I had just gotten a tripwire. You know what the tripwire is, right? The long EMF. And I had just gotten it and I thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to test it out. And she had passed like a couple days prior. And I just put it over the couch where she used to sit all the time and drug it around the side of the couch. And the light on the couch where you would jump up lit up. And then the one sat on the couch was completely lit up. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. My daughter came home and she grabbed a bag of chips out of the pantry and this dog would have eaten a piece of garbage. I mean, she was a human garbage. She would eat anything. If it was food or, she was all about it. And she had come home and gotten a bag of chips and started walking. And I watched the lights on the couch literally go off where she sat, where it was hanging on the floor and kind of trail around toward my daughter.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was amazed. And I said, oh my gosh, Ashley, walk back over here. I want to see if she comes back and gets on the couch, come sit next to me. And it did. And I was like, Wow. She's
Aw,
here right now. That's so cool.
I love that. I think you've got a friend there with you too, right, Leila?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, he's probably going in and out here.
Oh, it's all right.
Yeah,
I
this
Amazing.
one
love
is my little love of my life. He's my baby.
Yeah.
He always has to be. Tammy's seen him. He's a big boy, and he
Sweet.
sits in my lap like he's a little chihuahua.
Yeah.
He's a pit bull, and he sits in my lap like what?
We all love having our little four-legged people around. Now,
Yeah.
I'm going to do a quick station ID here. You're listening in to Paranormal NL Podcast. It's sponsored by the BOG team, and it's streaming pre-recorded on UPRN, United Public Radio Network. I'm 107.7 FM New Orleans. I'm 105.3 FM Gulf Coast. Now, do you guys want to give a shout out to your fans and where they can find you and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I don't. I'm like Tammy. I don't really have any websites. You can find me on Facebook, the Warren Legacy Foundation. They have it on the banner. You can go on our website. You can reach out to us if you need help. Also, there's a link on the website where you can reach out to us. Fill out that link, and we'll get you to the right person and get you
And
help. I'd like to say shout out to Jamie. Thank you for the referral. Thank you, Jamie. I love Jamie to death. To the Para Hunters team, Greg with the RIP team, and anyone out there that follows us. Thank you. We appreciate it. You guys are amazing.
Invite.
And I've got all your information down here on the ticker, and I'll have it up on the bio. And Tammy, do you want to give a shout out to your crowd?
And I'm the same way Leila is. I'm going to try to change that next year, but we'll see how that goes. But you can contact me on Facebook at Tammy Christine Medium, or at the Warren Legacy Foundation, or Let It Shine. That's another, letitshine.com. That could be another contact. But yeah, that's just, if you need anything, especially Warren, if you need to contact us, please do.
Do you want to talk about how people can contact the legacy? Do they just go to the .com, or what type of things? Does it residential, or is it just houses, or is it companies?
It's residential, because when it gets into companies, it's kind of, if we do have to go out to a location, it kind of gets with the ownership things. You have to get permission from them. And, a lot of people don't believe in it or don't want to, admit that their place is haunted. So we do mostly residential locations.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for doing that for a lot of people. And is there a big cost involved with something like that if they want to reach out to you guys in the foundation?
Absolutely not. Everyone in the foundation is volunteers, and we don't charge. And that's actually a red flag. If you're reaching out for help to us, it's a red flag if people are charging you. And when you're in a crisis situation and need help, you should not be getting charged. So everything we do is absolutely free. If we have to go out to your location, it's, we don't charge.
I love that you offer that for free. I mean, that's great. And Tammy, I'm sure you've got some of your services too that you kind of help out with mediumship.
Yeah,
right?
Our paranormal team is the same way. We don't charge to do residential investigations. That's just, people are in need, and we go out and we take care of that. Oftentimes we hear too many times where they go out and, you've got somebody saying, oh, we can take care of your problem for $400. It's like, no, like, run.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
So if I were to ask you what's your bucket list from paranormal, where would you want to go? You got 2 minutes.
Oh, my bucket list is definitely, I want to go to Europe. It's so much older, anywhere in Europe. I know Jamie's been able to go all over the place, but I'd love to go to a castle, anywhere over there. And Doll Island. I don't know why. It's creepy as can be, but I want to go to Doll Island.
It's a whole island. Yeah, it is creepy.
Yeah.
How about you, Tammy?
I've got 3. I get to go to Bali next year, which I'm really excited about. Yeah,
nice.
I've never been abroad, so this is going to be very interesting and see all the temples and things. But I want to go to Trans-Allegheny.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I also want to get down to Yorktown, Leila. We need to figure this out.
I'll take you to Yorktown. I've been there a couple times. It's a good place.
Okay.
All right. We'll get it done.
and I want to go to Ireland.
Oh, Ireland would be amazing. Yeah.
You would love Ireland. If you like Ireland, you'd love Newfoundland and Labrador. We got the oldest city in North America.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
We've got Vikings. We've got it all. Folks, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate having you on. And I hope you guys have a great Valentine's with your honey and your family.
Happy Valentine's Day.
to you.
Happy
you for having us.
Valentine's. We'll peace out with a little bit of boots on the ground music. Happy Valentine's week.
Bye.
Bye. We'll put some metal on. There you go.